a lot of artists, a lot of people that create things that are just amazing. When you ask them how, like, where did that come from, they always say it just kind of came and I just channeled it.
It just
like,
came out.
Yeah.
I think even Einstein had said that. He said a certain percentage of his work was just pure God inspiration.
Yeah.
God.
It just kind of comes.
It just came through.
A lot of writers say the same.
Yes,
a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
It's like you get in this flow,
Yeah.
and that's why I think I was Csikszentmihalyi wrote a book and says like about flow, how creativity is just this state where just you're flowing with whatever's happening and you're not thinking, you're just kind of going. So it makes sense because it's like life kind of knows what to do, but we're just kind of blocking it.
Yes.
And the moment we stop blocking it, it's the moment we know what to do, which is like the purpose, right?
Which is, again, coming to opening to feelings, because to know what to do, you got to feel it, you got to have an inspiration, there's got to be a sense of it. That means we've got to feel. So, when we're closing our feelings, we're blocking the information. So then of course we've got no idea what we're going to do because we're blocking it, we're not listening to it.
Exactly. So it feels like because we're looking for a purpose, we are actually stopping the purpose.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because the purpose in a way is just the flow of the energy.
Yes.
And by looking for a purpose, it's like we're stopping it to analyze and see, okay, where does this need to go? And it's like, it already knows. It's just wants to flow. Yes. It's like stopping a river, right?
Yes.
It's like, there's this river that's already flowing, and you put like something in front, like a press or what's it called?
Like a barricade.
Yes. And you say, no, like, I need to figure out where this is going to go. Before I let it go.
Yeah, tell me where to go.
Yeah, but it's like, no, it's already there. It's like, just let it.
But I think my sense is, and I can kind of hear this from mind as we speak about this, there are people, or there are beliefs where people sense, or let me just call it belief, that they are in control of their life, that they have the power to make choices and determine what to do. So they sense or think that they must find a purpose, otherwise they will be lost. So they believe that they must make choices or think about things, and because they fear that let it happen, they'll go nowhere. So it's just their fear that's blocking them listening to it. And plus it's their belief that, life is not directing them, they must dictate to life what should happen. Yeah.
So if they don't take control, it's like everything is going to just
collapse. So the greatest fear is, of course, losing control, letting go, letting it happen.
So what would you say, like, for a person that says, like, no, I feel like I have to be in control because if not, like, this ship is going to crash,
Right.
What would you say, like, in terms of, like, how do you let that go and understand that it's okay to not be in control? Like,
there's a number of different approaches. It depends on their spiritual awareness. How aware are they of oneness? How aware are they of God, of the movement of life itself, or divinity? And that can help them to let go because they realise on some level there is a movement that's happening through them.
Yeah.
Or you can approach it on another level and ask them, well, how much control do you have? Your next thought, can you control that? Can you tell me right now what your next thought going to be? Can you stop your thought for 1 minute? Absolutely dead silence. Most people I know cannot do that.
Yeah.
Or can you control your digestion? Can you tell me right now, stop your stomach digesting for 1 minute?
Or the heart.
Or their heart, right? So, and you start to open to them that they actually have very little control.
Yeah.
And sure, there's a feeling of choice, and sometimes a feeling of no choice. But this is about free will, not free will. It's kind of out of the scope here.
Yeah.
So kind of open them up or loosen them up about this sense of control. There's very little that we actually have control over. And again, it's coming into that fear of losing control. So coming more into the opening to their fear. And again, you can, when I talked before about emotional maintenance or emotional well-being and training into it, start doing little steps. It's like when I talk about in another article, like why follow your heart. People often advise, particularly in spiritual circles, what I do, or what does it feel like? What do you feel inspired to do? What is your heart saying? But that's going to be really stressful for someone trying to make a decision about moving to Africa.
Yeah.
They've never done it before.
Yeah.
Because it's suddenly, they're totally letting go and doing something completely new on something that has a huge impact on their life. So I would say take little steps, where possible. Start, is what I said earlier, start listening to what you feel like doing where possible. Try and connect to that more and more in little steps.
Yeah.
And that opens up more to the bigger steps.
One thing that I've been doing that, in my case, I feel like it's been pretty powerful, is I have a few alarms on my clock, on my watch. Like I think it's 4 during the day. And this and like maybe 3 or 4 hours, every 3 or 4 hours I have this reminder. And I have this thing where I like just have a clock and just like time my breathing and just like connect with my feeling. And kind of just like throughout the day I do this, and I feel like every time I do it, it kind of centers me again, because it's easy to get away into like thinking and the routine and all that. So I feel like because I'm just in a way reminding myself to feel, it's like it just becomes more of a habit. And so I feel like for me that's one thing that has helped me in a way, like reminding me. And even with, like you said, with the simple decisions, before I would get to a restaurant and I would look at the menu and I would just be so confused. Like I would be like, I don't know what to order. And even just that is such a big indicator of how I'm living life, and it's just like I have no idea what's happening here.
The thing is with feelings it's not a preference. You can't choose how you're going to feel, because it's just an energy of life.
It just moves.
It just moves. You certainly can help yourself to minimize the negativity by letting it go and not making a story on it. But it's not like I can choose how I'm going to feel in the next moment.
Yeah.
And so when people come to me in my work and say, I can control my feelings, but when I work with them, they're not actually controlling their feelings. What they're doing is they're just suppressing it. So to them it feels like, or seems like they're controlling it because they're not feeling it.
They're just disconnected.
It's just disconnect, or they're just stuffing it down in their body. Yeah.
Makes sense. And another thing that I went through when I was feeling that was that, like you said, there's nothing like in a way negative about the feeling. It's just the energy in different parts of the body moving through the body. And when I was having this experience, I started feeling different. So I would feel maybe an energy in a certain area of my body, and at first I would associate maybe with a negative thing, like maybe fear or anger or whatever. But as soon as I came back to the energy, just like in my body, it was never negative. It was just, there's an energy here, there's an energy here, it's moving around here. So it was just the energy presently moving through each part, and nothing was negative or positive, it was just the way it was. So I feel like that's another thing that is a lot of people get confused about. It's like, I don't want this feeling, like, I want to feel happy. But it's like, no, you are attaching to that image. But when
actually attaching to a state. Attaching to the state of happiness. And happiness to me is just another state. Or euphoric or joy. It's sure, in my experiences, as we become clearer through feeling, we tend to experience more feelings of peace, which to me is like joy. But happiness to me is like, it's just another state that pops up and down.
So I feel like we shouldn't really, because a lot of people say, like all that matters is if you're happy, you should just looking for happiness, like it's this new thing, right? Everyone's just looking for happiness. So I feel like from this experience, for me, and maybe you can elaborate more on that, but for me, I feel like it's not as much as happiness, but more as just feeling the life within us as it moves through whichever way it wants to flow. So just feeling alive in a way.
Right. And again, looking for happiness only just ensures you're looking for more misery. It creates the opposite effect. Yeah,
because you don't have it and you're wanting it. So one quote that I wanted to share that from your post that I feel like it's a great way to like kind of like explain this. So if you are searching for the meaning in life, then you are yearning for a fuller connection with the one true self, the you as you truly are. So I feel like I really liked it because it's so succinct, to the point. It's like, just connect and it will show itself kind of thing. And recently I did have a few days where I felt more disconnected, but because I was feeling extremely connected, and then I had like a few days where I felt like I kind of disconnected a bit, and I feel like it had to do with attaching to the idea of what the state that comes with this feeling. Because that's another thing I feel like is worth mentioning, is a lot of times when we connect more to this life force, we get to these like mental or emotional, spiritual states, and we experience these things that we're like, whoa, what is this? And we somewhat kind of grab on them because we feel like now we want more of that. I feel like that's a big trap for a lot of people, including me, that I went through. That it's like, okay, this is just a sign that we're heading the right way, but it's not. This is not what we should strive for.
And it's also a very kind of spiritual topic, and one of my favorite spiritual teachers talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
So people, when they start opening up and they have these very extremely pleasurable spiritual experiences of oneness or unity, and they're only states, and so the states will change, right? And so when the state changes and we feel quote unquote normal again, the part of it goes,
the superpower goes
away. Right, or the feeling of it, right? At least the feeling of it. There's a part of us that feels like, I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not connected anymore, or if I'm not feeling unity, then I'm somehow disconnected. I'm doing something wrong. So part of it is it feels like or seems like we blame ourselves for not keeping in that state. And secondly, there's an attachment to it, like you said, because it is so pleasurable. But they're only states. They're only just as feelings come and go.
Yeah.
They're only. They change all the time. You may not always perceive it, but the unity or the oneness, but that's just the way it is. And yet, if we attach to it, and like particularly if we open up, we're feeling really happy because we feel more alive, and then we have a day where we don't, and then we start blaming ourselves, or we make a story about it that I'm not good enough, or I'm not open enough, or I'm back in my old shit.
Yeah.
Then we really start going back into the old patterns. It's just another experience. It's just another feeling to be with it.
Yeah. So I feel like it's very important when you're feeling those states to continue to be aware of what's happening with the energy.
It's just another feeling.
Exactly.
It's just another feeling.
And not allow this to take you into this world, like illusory world. So just like when we're like in the moment that you feel normal and we're aware of what's happening here, the same applies to when you're feeling this like invincibility or like life superpowers
or even sad, right?
Or even sad,
because they're all energy states, and they keep changing, they keep moving.
Yeah, so probably instead of saying because a lot of people strive for this, like, I need to elevate and feel these things, and so probably it's best to approach it in a way like, I want to feel, and that's it, without feeling what or how. Like, it's just what do I feel, and pretty much, right?
It's like my favorite spiritual teacher. When he talks about enlightenment, he talks about because often with states you get a lot in spiritual circles. People about I got it. I was one with the universe, and now I lost it. How do I get back to it? Right? He talks about how this is Adashanti. He talks about how enlightenment is a natural state, and it has to be. You can't force these things, because whatever you force, you're going to get the reverse of it.
You push it away.
Well, right, or it's going to come crashing down again, because it's not natural. Whatever you experience is natural.
Yeah. If people want to learn more about how to connect more, so there's a website that you write on. I will share it in the description. And do you recommend any resources that like any books or any people or anything that they can kind of get some ideas about or kind of see for themselves, so they can learn more about this topic? Or what would you say?
I think one thing people don't invest in is their own emotional capabilities or emotional welfare. What I mean is, we learn to train. We go to the gym or we exercise. We learn to look after our health proactively. We do some exercises, or we learn to eat well. We learn to drink healthy fluids. But very few people invest in their own emotional well-being. And so often people have a fear of, say, being more open or feeling their feelings, because they don't know if they can deal with it. All right? And that's a natural fear, because if you don't have the capability or the confidence, and the world around us is full of examples of people repressing their feelings. So if you look around us, it's very easy to keep blocked, because that's what everyone else is doing. As a majority, to different degrees, right? So people are very scared to feel vulnerable, and they feel that if they open their heart, they'll be taken advantage of, or they'll break down, or they won't function. So one way to proactively help themselves is to learn to invest in themselves in emotional welfare. And some of those things can include self-help tools. There's some links on my website as well, such as emotional freedom technique. They're just sort of self-help little techniques you can use that when you start to feel things that you can, so with EFT you do certain tappings on meridian and using sentences, for example, that you find ways to give yourself confidence that when you feel things that are difficult, that you know you can deal with it, if not by yourself, then at least with the help of a technique. So invest in your own emotional well-being, so that you don't feel like you're going into a black hole, because then naturally you're going to feel scared and you're not going to want to open up because you may not feel capable of doing it.
Yeah, it's sort of like investing in that foundation that will allow you to have a much better experience of everything else, right? So thank you again for sharing this. For me, it was just a life-changing thing, and I'm very excited to see where this goes without attaching to it. I want to just continue to connect and remind myself to be here and just feel what I feel in this moment, and I hope that it can also help other people, kind of the way in which it helped me, and if anyone wants to get deeper into this, always feel free to reach out to him. He always has the right questions to ask. So kind of like the way you asked me. So thank you one more time. Very happy
You're welcome, Amanda.
that you
Thank
came.
you.